Hey everyone, Tactics here, and today we got some very exciting news for Mythic Plus in Dragonflight Season 2. We saw a bunch of very positive changes to both how the affixes are going to function and which affixes are actually in the rotation itself, and a lot of people are very happy with these changes, so let's go over them here for you guys. So first off, explosive, which we saw reworked a couple times, and I talked about this as well as some of these other affixes in my recent video. I'll link that down in the description below if you want to see it. But basically, after the multiple reworks to explosive, they've actually decided, you know what, we're not going to move forward with it, and they've brought back volcanic. So explosive is gone, volcanic is back in. Overall, I think for the health of Mythic Plus, I think this is a very good change. A lot of times explosive felt like you were playing the affix a lot as opposed to, playing the dungeon and then having to deal with the affixes, right? Really limited pulls because so many would spawn. They tried to move it away from tank and healer responsibility to be more of a general responsibility, but that had a bunch of other issues with it. And I think, at least for now, because the season is coming so soon, this is probably the best play, and potentially they can come back and revisit a more reworked explosive maybe in season 3 or something. But overall, I'm pretty happy that they're getting rid of it for now, seeing as it's, a little undercooked, maybe not enough time working on it, and bringing back volcanic, which is, obviously it's a complete non-affix really, but it's not something that people have major issues with, of course, because it's so easy to deal with. And honestly, it gives people a break from having to deal with all these other affixes. Now, on top of that, there was a bit of a shakeup with how they're actually applying affixes to keys. I didn't cover that in my last video because it was new between these two videos, basically. And so what they're essentially doing now, because scaling goes all the way up to plus 20 and there's no more seasonals, they've moved the affixes to apply at both level 7 and level 14 instead of level 4, 7, and then 10 for the seasonal. So the level 7 row, previously is going to remain at level 7 now. So that's Afflicted, Incorporeal, Volcanic, Entangling, and Storming. And then the previous level 4 row is now going to be applied at level 14. So Spiteful, Raging, Bursting, Bolstering, and Sanguine. That's all going to level 14. Overall, I do really like this change. I think it makes a lot of sense because scaling goes all the way up to 20, of course. And it just gives people maybe a little bit less anxiety about doing keys of a certain level, right? Maybe people that normally, would be scared to do a 10 are now going to go all the way up to a 14 or so before they really get worried, right? So I think that's only a positive change, and it makes a lot of sense given the scaling of Mythic Plus currently. Now, let's talk about the actual level 7 affixes then, the ones that were basically brand new and revamped that I talked a lot about in that video I mentioned before. These aren't the only changes, so let's pull back the other set of changes that have happened since that video. So here they are. So basically, Incorporeal, they've made them immune to damage now, so you're not going to accidentally break that CC. They also seem to reduce the spawn rate a bit, which is nice, of course. And then on top of this, they also will now fade away when you end combat with non-incorporeal mobs. So very good changes to this affix here. Entangling, I don't believe there was any changes here. Yes, so all the changes to entangling are here. So basically the snare is now 30% instead of 50%, and allegedly the visual is much more clear. It shows also the max range of the vine, and there's a very distinct sound cue when it applies. Players, I still would like to see hopefully a bit of a like ramp up to when the entangling is going to spawn, just so players have a few seconds of warning. But overall, very happy with the changes to entangling. Afflicted now no longer scales in health past keystone level 20. This is a very good change. Previously, the only real way to get these up if you're going above a plus 20 key, thanks to that scaling, would be to, you need to have enough dispels to cover that. And these, unlike Incorporeal, unlike Explosive before they removed it, were spawning very frequently in combat. These had the highest spawn rate of those affixes. So hopefully they bring that down a little bit as well to maybe match Incorporeal a little bit, but not having the insane health scaling past level 20 is definitely going to be nice as well. And in terms of here, they also nerfed the health before this as well, and also gave them a bit more consistent spawn behavior as well. So overall, I think a lot of good changes to these newer affixes. Still a little bit of work to be done, mostly again, I think Entangling is a little bit, and Afflicted has a little bit, maybe that could be done. But overall, I think these are in a much better spot than when I talked about them previously. They've made a lot of very good changes, and I'm actually really excited to test them out and see how they go. And of course, if you want to check out that testing, it's always on my Twitch channel, Tactics on Twitch. Now, they also, surprisingly, came in with some nerfs to the previous level 4 affixes, now level 14 affix, so all those like on-death affixes, essentially. So, very big changes here. So, Spiteful. Shades now have 10% reduced melee damage, so that was a big nerf already. Of course, sometimes those guys would get pretty annoying, and the main thing here actually is that they no longer scale in both health and damage past a keystone level 20. So again, capping that scaling, extremely good change, right? Once you got into higher key levels, these would just be like one shots on one melee. So this obviously helps with that specifically. The damage reduction on them helps immensely as well, especially because sometimes their spawns were variable. They would be a little closer. They would not show immediately that they've targeted you. Very rarely they would switch targets, but there was like some problems where sometimes rarely would feel a little bit unfair and you would just instantly die. So having their damage significantly reduced, and then also their health not increase above 20, because sometimes obviously you'd want to, be out of combat at the end of a pack in a higher key, and now they're going to have much less health, so we'll be able to actually clean them up much more quickly, and just either get to resin, get to healing, or mana regeneration rather, and just be able to continue on. Maybe you want to stealth, whatever, so that'll help with that as well. So two really nice quality of life changes to Spiteful there. Raging kind of got changed a lot. This is the one I'm the least certain of. Basically now grants immunity to crowd control for 20 seconds upon reaching 30% health instead of the 50% damage increase. I assume it's still an Enrage effect that can be cleansed, and I assume there's no damage increase on it now. This, what I'm uncertain of is how this reads. It says immunity to crowd control, and if you guys remember Inspiring, that also read this way, but it counted towards kicks as well. And so that's my main worry. If this is only about CCs, I think this is a fine affix. If this is CCs and interrupts, I think this is going to be very problematic. It's basically going to require like an Enrage dispel plus an Evoker, or like 3 Enrage dispels across your entire group if this functions on crowd controls and kicks. I actually don't know why this, I mean, I guess I kind of understand that they want to make this not just like a mostly tank affix or like a one-shot random damage affix kind of deal. Which I guess is okay. Maybe as long as this doesn't apply to kicks, I think it's fine, to be honest with you. But it's a little unclear right now, but I don't hate the direction of this affix. It just needs to be a bit more clear, and I think if it's not covering kicks, then it's perfectly fine. Bolstering. So, bolstering no longer increases the health of affected enemies, so it's now just a damage increase, which is fantastic. This is going to save you so much time on bolstering weeks. Bolstering had just in general, one of the worst completion rates across the board this season, and adding the health is a big part of that. That's like probably the most annoying part, especially with packs that have variable mob health. And so now having the downside of, hey, we're going to increase the damage of the entire pack, rather than, hey, we're going to make this pack last a little bit longer and also increase the damage of it, I think that's a really good change. I hate bolstering way less now. I think this is a fantastic change for bolstering, honestly. Fantastic. Really happy with this. And then finally, Sanguine got a pretty sizable duration nerf, down to 12 seconds duration from 20 seconds duration. This isn't the exact nerf I would like to see for Sanguine, but it's still, I mean, nice, of course, right? A massive duration nerf. But I would like to see is maybe have the Sanguine puddle shrink when soaked and have it have a limited number of soaks to it, so it can only add so much HP. Everyone knows, there's that lieutenant mob, and, you're moving as mobs are dying, but hey, the lieutenant mob just starts casting right in the edge of a Sanguine puddle, and it just heals up during that whole cast. If they made it maybe shrink a little bit as they eat the puddles, healing pool, that could help with that situation in particular. But otherwise, this is still a pretty nice change. Very welcome. But Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. How do you feel about all of these changes? How are you feeling about the new affixes now after 2 rounds of pretty large changes to them, and of course explosive being swapped out for volcanic? Let me know down in the comments below. I know I'm feeling pretty optimistic. We'd love to hear from you guys. Of course, I'll be testing all this stuff over on my Twitch channel at Takis, and also will be putting out guide videos for every single dungeon. I'll go through the affixes as well for season 2 raids as well, so keep an eye out for that. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, turn on that notification bell. Otherwise, I want to thank all of my Patreon supporters. It really means a lot to me that you guys choose to support me there. Get a bunch of benefits for doing so. I'll link it down in the description if you're interested in supporting me as well. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.